right. We should be good to go.
Okay.
I guess
I
I
brought
can.
a bunch of questions with me, so we're ready for you.
I always like it when you ask questions. I like it when you lead your own class, right? In the sense of coming prepared to say, what do I need to know? What do I need to learn? Hola, Flavio. All right. So we're going to go over a game by Caleb. You're going to be watching, of course. We're going to be going over a game between LeMurph and Ray, and we're going to see how it goes. So Ray played a Queen Pawn opening, and Murph said, that's okay. We're playing the Carol Khan. And so we transition into the Carol Khan. I don't know Carol Khan theory, so don't know if that's good. I do
Well,
know.
it's got, yeah, this is, the first two moves are the Karathan moves. That's normal.
Okay, and this is all normal for you?
Wait, now, if you go back one move, go back one. So, you have three choices here as white. The take, which is the exchange, push the E-pawn, which is the advanced, or what he did with the knight, which is they refer to as the classical.
Okay. And this is what we call variations. So they're all legit book theory main lines because, I mean, anything could be a line, right? But this we're saying is one of the three main lines that you were studying.
Correct.
Yep, yeah, Flavio, I'm good with you. He says he can't confirm the names, and I don't even try. Someday, maybe I'll spend the time. So is this also theory that you're supposed to take?
Yes.
Okay. We get a take. And the only thing I know about the Carol Khan is the concept is that this bishop gets out before you play e3, e6 in a French type setup. The bishop is always stuck, and the whole idea of the Carol Khan, and the only reason I even contemplated playing it myself, is that you supposedly get the bishop outside of that pawn chain, and then if you play it like a French with the bishop in a good square, you kind of got a nice little thing going on. But so we develop. I like a development move. I like a developing move, and this he didn't Murph his pawn because the pawn's already out. So far, so good. Not always crazy about trading off another piece, moving the piece twice in the opening.
This is where you have choices here because the pawn is free.
Is it really free?
Well, that's the question.
Yeah, I don't know if it is. So, I mean, you didn't take it.
Right.
I mean, what do you, go ahead and analyze from here and see if it's really free. So
well,
he can.
The computer, I went and looked at this, said to take it.
Oh, see.
Mr. Cohen doesn't got the chest. That's not his style. So
Gotcha.
that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, well, this is interesting because, you can't take with the queen, so he could chase your queen around a little bit. He could even chase your queen with the knight because you can't take, right? Even though you could win it, but you could take with the knight, but you can't do that first. So he could gain a tempo, and he could do it here or here. And it's okay to go here too, even though it's not the best square. But I think simplest could be just to chase the queen. And depending on where he goes, you develop another piece, and you'll be, white has the potential to be well ahead in development while the queen is running around.
Right.
So
I would say you probably think it's not worth getting the pawn to give up development.
Don't know. It depends on the level you're playing. So if you're playing a beginner, and that's a free pawn is a free pawn is a free pawn. As Yasser Seirawan, grandmaster back in the Fischer boom days, he became known right after Fischer. It was like, oh, is he going to be the next American, grand champion? Great guy, great to listen to. Just a funny guy and soft-spoken, very nice. You might like him a lot. But when he commentates, he always says things like, but it's a pawn, and pawns are valuable. Why wouldn't you take it? If you can't see a refutation, he would say, yeah, okay, you get behind on development. That's what a gambit is. A gambit is when you give away something like a pawn for tempo, right, and for momentum and for development. So I would tell you if I were you playing, I'd say start by taking it and see if they can prove you wrong, right? See if they can punish you. And if they don't, you get to keep a pawn. You'd be winning. And if you checked and the computer said take it, then that means that it's playable for sure, because the computer wouldn't tell you to take it and be losing. So it's just a question of two parts, right? Can you withstand this onslaught that might come? But the other half of that is, do they know how to make an onslaught against you? Because if they don't know how, then you just keep the pawn. So if you were playing like a grandmaster, I'd say, yeah, you take the pawn, you're going to lose, but you'll probably lose anyway, so why not get the pawn? Why not say, hey, I was winning for a while? So I'm thinking, I'm thinking I'd take the pawn.
Okay.
Nabalon, wow. My national master said that he thought maybe this was just a blunder by white. But he said the computer says, no, it's called Alekine's Gambit, and it's not a blunder, that this move is not a blunder, it's called Alekine's Gambit. But again, but back to the point. If I'm teaching you and I tell you it looks like a blunder, first thing you do when you think it's a blunder is you treat it as a puzzle-worthy moment to make sure it's not a trap. And then if you can't see the trap and it looks like a blunder, like a free pawn, you take it. So even a national master thought it was a blunder. So take it and see what happens. That's how I say you should be learning. Take it, and if it's some diabolical trap that he checkmates you in 3 more moves, go, wow, that was wild. I got to see how that happened again, learn from it, and then you know not to take it next time, and you'll recognize that kind of pattern. But chances are you'll take it and be up a pawn for a long time. So take it. All right, so you took the knight, which I'm not crazy about because your knight was in a really good square. Now his knight was in a really good square too. But anyway, let's see what happens. I know you don't like knights on the board, so I can understand. This knight doesn't have a great square because its pawn is taking it. The bishop is now blocked. I can't castle because this bishop is blocked. So with this move, and you asked me to go over the game, so I'm going over the game. With this move, the problem is I got to move him again to get this bishop in the game, or I got to move a pawn to get this bishop in the game. So only the queen has any scope, and the knight can get 2 squares. So I feel like I already feel cramped. I already feel like I'm not developing quickly. While if I had gotten the bishop out, and unfortunately, you can't, you're not going to murph the pawn. You're not going to give it away for free. You're not going to give it away for free. So the bishop didn't have any squares either. Maybe I prefer you push the pawn, but then I trap the bishop. I didn't like the knight take, I guess. I would have liked, if you didn't want to take the pawn, I would have liked this knight move first, because then after I take, he takes, and I gain the tempo by moving here. Do you see the slight difference? Let's say you go here, let's say he goes here, we take, he's still going to take, and now we gain a tempo, because now the bishop moves again, and now it's our move again. And so now we do something like this, and now it's, he could castle, we can push the pawn, my bishop's outside of the pawn chain, and I feel better about this right now than I do about this. I don't feel good about this. All right, he moves the bishop. I think he should have moved the knight. That's a natural move. It attacks the center, and it allows castling faster. So I would have liked the knight move.
I don't know how well he knows his gambit. I will tell you that I don't see the classical version for Carol very often. Mm-hmm. So I don't know the ins and outs. So that little trick you just gave me is something I'll put in the back of my head.
Okay.
I usually get the exchange.
Yeah, I wouldn't take right away because again, right? And if he takes you, you're happy anyway because that's what you wanted.
Right.
And you're still ready to develop you see what I'm saying? You're not losing tempo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, so I don't like this. It's just too slow. It makes it even slower, but you get to develop it. I think he should have used the knight, but no big deal. He's got to do something with the bishop. I don't like this. It takes away the square for the knight. It declares I'm going to be attacking the queen side, but it takes away the best square for the knight. So personally, I don't like it there. I like it that you developed the bishop. I don't even really care where he goes to. And so now the knight has to go to a secondary square, but he does, he's got a launch point. So he can get into the game. Good, you're going to get your bishop into the game. He castles. And now this is one of those where I tell you should spend a lot of time, because you've got to pick where you want that bishop, right? And so you might have just said, well, I'm just going to develop him and put him here, and that's fine, but it's, maybe be a lot better there. And then your queen might back it up. And then maybe your knight can get into the game. Maybe you can even throw the pawn at it. So maybe the bishop belongs here. There's like no threat of a pawn forking you.
Right.
So this is the kind of decisions, and when you go back and look at the computer, this would be where I'd say, go look at the computer and see what it says about the, play the move you played and see what it says on the, even if you just looked at the evaluation bar, and then see what it says when you go here. And if it's worse on the evaluation bar, then you stick with your move, right? If it's better on the evaluation bar, then you might say, okay, next time, and I see why it has more scope, it can come back to here eventually, right? This is the diagonal, or do I want it to play on this diagonal? It's a simple question, which diagonal do I, and this diagonal doesn't change. So it's really, do I want my bishop here, or do I want my bishop here? That's really what it comes down to. And if you just look at tempos, he can't even get his knight into a square to attack that bishop here. Right? I mean, he can't actually even get to attack you. It's going to take him 2 moves. You could have traded him off. So your bishop gets to stay here for a while if it wants. He could do things like do this and then try to get rid of you. But the point is, it's safe there for a while. But anyway, okay, that's just my thought. I would want to know which one was the best square.
It's a very good.
Insight, helpful, whatever?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So, again, as a beginner, I would say he should have developed a queen before he pushed a non-center pawn. But it's not horrible or anything, right? It's fine. And he's got the nice duo, and he's attacking a lot of center squares, so that's good. Okay. You should already know what I think about this.
Yeah, you don't like it.
Why?
You don't like trading until we're fully developed.
Yes. Right? So one of the things they say is don't trade, right? What's the saying? To take is a mistake. It's a general... Yeah, it's some grandmaster I heard the other day. To take is a mistake. And what they mean by it is that trading off early and just trading a lot of pieces is not good. And where it really doesn't come in good, I think, is if... oh, wow, wait. Thank you. Okay, who's my moderator? You beat me to it. Flavio, thank you, Flavio. I had somebody trying to sell stuff on my stream, and Flavio, thank you. I was just about to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I don't like it because you moved it twice,
Right.
and you didn't develop. I mean, you had a chance to castle or develop your queen. This is like no rush, right? This is like you're rushing to do something that you don't need to rush to do. So, all right. So my guess is and I'm not looking at the moves, my guess is he's going to improve his knight, because that way his queen protects the bishop, because of course he doesn't want to ruin his pawns. Right? So this is the only threat. You're going to ruin my pawns. So if I move my knight, I will have the queen protecting it, and if you take, my queen takes back, and my knight now is here, or here, or here. So what do you think? Are any of these squares better than where that knight is now?
The C3 is the correct one for the other bishop, for the other knight. So yeah, C3 or even G3. So yeah.
And even this, Caleb, do you remember me talking about this the other day, that the knights on the first rank are the weakest they are, right? They're the weakest they are. We also don't like the knights on the rim. But knights on the first, just as far as ranks go, knights are worse on the first. They're a little bit better on the second, but still not good. They're not good yet. They're good on the third rank. They're very good on the fourth rank. They're awesome on the fifth rank, and they're super duper on the sixth rank. Then we start going back down again, where on the 7th they're not very good, and on the 8th they're not good at all. Okay, and it's mostly a matter of scope. And if also you could say they're worse on the rim and they're better as we get towards the center. So a knight right here, if he could stay there without being taken off, if a knight on the 6 would be like the best you can have. Okay? Next best would be on the 5th. The next best would be on the 4th. The next best would be on the 3rd. And that's where we stop, because then everything is bad. All right, so you are forcing this knight to move to a better square.
Right.
The only way he doesn't move that knight to a better square and does something like move the rook or move his queen, well, not there, because that would be too bad. But the only other thing he would do is let you ruin his pawns. And we don't want to play, as Nobleron will say, we don't want to play hope chess. In fact, let me give that man a shout out. I always like to wait till we get a bigger crowd for doing my shout outs. But I got to do something real quick. And Flavio, thank you so much for taking care of the salesman. So with this move, right, you're saying, hey, if he takes, I take back, my knight is better. Now he can chase you away with one move, but my knight is better. But if he doesn't take, right, that's two choices, takes or doesn't take. And if he doesn't take, because this would not help him tempo-wise, this would not help him development-wise, he can right now get his knight into a better square. And then when you take, he gets his queen developed, and he's fully developed, and his knight is in a better square than it was in before, and you will have this bishop here and this knight here. The knight's good, the bishop's not so great, and you still haven't castled. Anyway, let's see what happens. All right, he goes to the c3 square. You take, and he takes. Pretty much what we predicted. And now it's your move. You castle. So just looking at the position, it's his turn, and he's fully developed. You still have one more piece to develop so your rooks can talk. So he is an extra move ahead, because white's always one move ahead, but now he's an extra move ahead. Not so bad that it's going to lose the game for you, but he is ahead in development one move, because we moved the knight twice to take, and then we moved the bishop twice to take. And that's why we're behind on development, because he has an extra pawn move, and he's still ahead on development. So now it's his move again. So in this situation, we're saying, and it's white to move. Go find a move, white. So this is where we want you to plan, right? Like, you don't just try to trade off everything unless you think you have a superior pawn position for the endgame, which there's no reason you should think that. So what do you do? What would you do if you were white when you say, I don't know what to do here? I check your pieces. Is your knight in a good square? If you say yes, leave him there. Is your bishop in a good, well, you can say, can I find a better square, right? Always can I find a better square? Is my bishop in a good square? Let's say you say yeah. Okay, then leave him there. Is my queen in a good square? Okay, maybe, yeah, for the most part. There's no light squared bishop, and the knight can't attack me on one move. So, yeah, queen's good. So that leaves the rooks. Because I don't want to push pawns, right? Remember, I don't want to push pawns. It's not my first choice. It should be my last choice to push a pawn, unless there's something obvious that I can gain. So, I have choices. Semi-open file, the only semi-open file white has. This is the semi-open file for black, by the way. So I could put it on the semi-open file. I could put a rook on alignment with your queen. We know we love alignment. So I could just align my rook with your queen. So those would be my two choices. Put the rook on a semi-open file, or align my rook with the queen. And maybe my goal is to get them both like this. All right, so let's see what he does. He aligns with your queen. All right. Going along kind of like we thought it might. And do you notice now your bishop moved twice again? And I still haven't developed the queen, and you're still aligned with the rook. So this feels dangerous to me. In fact, he could pin your knight now, threatening to ruin your pawns. And yeah, you can ruin his pawns, but your pawns get ruined in front of your king. Right? That's always dangerous. Okay, so he doesn't pin your knight. I thought he could have pinned your knight and then done this. But now if you just trade, right, yeah, then it's not, you're fine. And so now you look at it, he's hitting a light square, dark square doesn't hit anything. He could try to do a rook lift and get another piece over here to bother you and start an attack because you have no minor piece hanging around. We usually want, like you're very good now, Murph, at not moving these pawns. But the other facet of it is I want a minor piece hanging around.
Can I explain something to you at this point?
Yeah, sure.
Just the mindset here. Okay? We've played each other a few times, and we've talked, so we're playing friendly with each other. We've played a few games, we've gone on playing a few games. He doesn't feel he's really good at the end game. I think he's better than he thinks he is. I wanted to practice this opening because I don't see the classical very often.
Okay.
So I went and tried some things. I picked up a couple of things already from just us reviewing this.
Good.
The computer at this point, or at that point, thought White had a slight 1 point advantage or something like that. So, just from a getting out of the gate kind of a thing, I'm comfortable with this.
Yeah.
We could have been better based on some of the things we've seen.
But this is equal.
What the mindset was in doing what we did.
Yeah, this is basically an equal game so far.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Now he does have a few tactical shots possible, like if he pushes, and if you just take, and he just takes, he's attacking your bishop.
Okay.
Right? So then you see what I'm saying? He's threatening
Yes.
if he pushes, and you take with either one, and he takes, then he's got your bishop. If you don't take and you move your bishop away, let's say here or here, then he could take and have a discovery on your queen.
Right.
So right now in this situation, which is probably why the computer gave it an edge for White, he's threatening nasty stuff with this move. Right? I mean, he's threatening to possibly win material with that move. He doesn't have to. He could go, you could take, he could take, and your bishop's hanging, so you got to do something about it. Yeah, I think you're losing material. I don't say you're not losing material. If he pushes, you could go here, and that way, if he takes this way, though, you lose a pawn. And you have this attack on your queen. So no, I don't like it. So I think right now your bishop has to move now. So there's two alignments going on. This is an alignment, and this is an alignment. So one facet is you have two alignments going on against you, both of them against you. And this is what we call a loose piece, right? It's undefended.
Right.
It's not only undefended, it's out in the board. It's like out there. So this is an undefended piece that has alignment. If he can clear both of these pawns, which he can almost do forcibly, he's going to have this alignment come alive and this alignment come alive once this pawn is clear. So right now, bells and whistles should be going off in your head because you still haven't developed your last piece, and he's got two ways that he could kill you. So if you do something nonchalant like this, or make a loft in case for later, you can lose the game. Good. So that gets you out of this alignment. There's still this alignment, but now you're saying, ha, I got a surprise. You push, I can win this pawn. Right? Something for you to consider, but you still got to be careful. Because even if you win that pawn, he could put the bishop here, locking your queen out. You could go win this pawn too, but now he's got the bishop hitting here. He's got the queen ready to come over. He's got the other rook possibly coming over. Yeah, I'm still not feeling greatly comfortable, but this gets you out of most of your problems.
Would you agree that his pieces are working better together than mine?
Oh, far better. And let's just look at it. Your knight, your bishop, all it's doing is keeping a piece off of this square, which is a closed file for you anyway. So that bishop isn't doing great work. And it's undefended and it's aligned. Your queen is not really hitting anything of worth. Now, if he moves the pawn, you might say, I get to win this one. And your rooks aren't active yet. So his rook is more active, not active because it's still behind the pawn, but he could push the pawn and make that rook very active. His queen is out here in the middle, looking good, and it has that X-ray to there. And the bishop is okay, nothing wrong with the bishop. So yeah, his pieces are definitely better than yours. And again, I would imagine that the computer has it, one or more points ahead. Now, I don't like this move at all, because this alignment is something he should be trying to take advantage of sooner rather than later. So I'd even rather him do this and shore up this as a kind of tricky move, and then say, let me go here, because then I don't even lose the pawn. But I can almost see him doing that immediately, because you do get this kind of attack. Well, I guess he could do that. But then you get to chase. You know what, I'm laughing because it's going to start getting interesting, right? I mean, you go here, you could take back, he could take here, and then he's got the rook on the 7th. We don't like rooks on the 7th. Yeah, so I mean, you'd have to do a lot of calculations to see if this is safe to do right now. But he could also just do this first and not do it yet, and then try to put this in. He could see. I'd even be happy with this for him, because then his bishop can be anchored, but the pawn push is like, hey, you're not attacking anything. This is attacking a pawn that's protected 3 times, and this one's protected 3 times. Your queen is not doing anything, so he could be kind of aggressive and risky. This one I don't like because it forces you to get out of the alignment. Now you could have went here and then back to here, but here's fine. And remember, I told you I liked the square a long time ago. It would have even been better a long time ago. But yeah, okay. By the way, still unprotected. It would have been unprotected here too, but here might have been, yeah, but you got problems with that bishop. He's not protected. Opens up the king. Not horrible. Opens up the king though. But again, his pieces are better than yours, so I guess it's okay. What was this move? Were you planning on moving the rook and you didn't want to leave the pawn hanging?
Yeah.
Okay, because remember, we don't want... So pawn should be like my last thought. So I'm thinking, can I line with his queen? Can I get on my semi-open file with my rook? And yeah, I might lose that pawn at some point, but I got to decide, is it forced loss? I don't think so.
Well, one of the things one of the questions I had for tonight, you've kind of touched on it now with that pawn move, and I'll ask you now, since you've gone to it. I've fallen in love with this, what I sort of call this fence post thing with the pawns, where they're, here, where you got this and this and this, as opposed to if you have a diagonal. I'm beginning to realize now you really want the diagonal because there's no taking anything other than the lead one.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with this situation, if they get behind you, which is what he did at some point, you're done.
Well,
also the dark squares are
weak.
They're weak. And I was going to say open, but weak.
Yes, and he has a dark square bishop. If he had a light square bishop, this would be great. If he had a light square bishop, your pawns would be hindering his bishop, and it would be giving your bishop no problem, right? Your bishop would have free reign. But he has free reign now too.
You don't have a preference to doing this as opposed to the diagonal, depending on the bishop.
Well, just to be clear, when you say diagonal, you mean a long pawn chain.
Correct.
Yes, long pawn chains are usually preferred by far.
Okay.
But your biggest problem is with this move is you're not taking care of business yet. This bishop is undefended. He is on your semi-open file. Your rooks belong on semi-open files. So you could even do things like this and say, I'm going to put my rook on a semi-open file. This rook can hold the pawn for the moment, so it's not at risk. This is probably more important. You also have to be worried about him pushing one more time and taking. Will that be okay with you? Which it should be okay with you. There's nothing wrong with it because your queen could just take back. Right? Your pawn's not going to take back and lose your queen for a rook. But your queen could take back and you'd be fine. So I'm more interested in you improving the rook onto your semi-open file. Rooks belong on open and semi-open files. Than pushing this pawn, especially when you're not even pushing it to keep a piece out. You're pushing it to keep from losing it, which is I mean, it's not going to happen for a while unless you move this rook, and you don't have to move that rook first. You can use this one first because he wants to get in the game too. He's stuck behind a pawn also. Even this protects the pawn and at least takes away squares from here. Right? So this I like better, except that you hang this pawn. So bottom line, I'd rather you take a semi-open file. I'm not crazy about this as a habit to get into, but a lot of times it's a good move. Like to keep the bishop out of here. You know, that would be a fine move. Nothing wrong with it. And it gives you a luft later so you don't get back rank mated.
Right, no, H6 has other purposes. That's a totally different move than A6.
Well, A6, all I heard was you want to protect you don't want the pawn to be taken, and you realize you have weakened dark squares. Here, I'm not worried about it being taken yet, but yes, it is a different purpose. Agreed. It's prophylactic this, and to give me a square to go to, you know,
right.
Expecting the queen not to stay on that square.
Right. But
Yep.
part of the thinking with the A6 one is I believe I wanted to free up the rook. I didn't want that pawn unprotected. But I also noticed that I'm kind of falling in love with these little things like this.
Yeah.
Which, and now I'm realizing it depends on if you're paying attention to which bishop is out there.
Yeah, because this,
So
if
white bishop, we would be okay with this as opposed to a dark bishop.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Oh, and by the way, if you don't think he's great at endgames, you could have also said, let's trade queens, even though I double up my pawns, because then I have an open file to fight for.
Well, we're about to get to that.
Oh, okay, let's see what happens. Okay, why not? Because you don't want to double up these pawns?
Right.
Okay.
Now,
He takes...
Traded,
wow.
I offered trades 3 or 4 times. This was the first one he actually took, which I have to talk to him about that. That was interesting.
Yeah, I was thinking he'd do this. Maybe he didn't like this.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't think it's that scary. I think you can push here. I think you can do almost anything you want. But anyway. Okay, you took the trade. Whoa, what? What am I missing?
Opens up my rook. I like that. No?
Well, the general rule is take towards the center.
Okay.
General rule, you take towards the center. This pawn is...
The H pawn.
Yeah, you would take towards the center. If you have a choice, the general rule is you always take towards the center. And the way you can think of it is, here's, and Caleb, this is very important. We talked about knights being better as they get to the 6th rank. The pawns are worth more when they're towards the center. So center pawns are worth more than the wing pawns. Wing pawns are worth more than the G and B pawns. And G and B is worth a lot more than the rook pawns.
Okay.
And the computer has helped with this because the computer actually gives them values. And that's why if you win a rook pawn, it only give you like 0.2 advantage. And you would think, wait, I've got a whole pawn. That should be a 1-point advantage. And when you teach beginners, you tell them these are all worth 1. But the computer actually doesn't do that. The computer gives it more value the closer it is to the center. So by moving this, by taking this way, you take a pawn that's worth the least, and you just increased its value.
Okay.
What you did was you took a pawn that was the second most valuable pawn, because the center pawns are the most valuable,
And decreased it.
and you decreased its value.
Okay.
So that's a simple way for you to contemplate. You only do this in special circumstances. Now, this becomes an isolated pawn. This is a backward pawn. If you had a dark squared bishop, a light squared bishop, you'd put it here. If you had a knight, you'd love to put it here right now. Because if you put a knight here, they can never get rid of that knight because he doesn't have a knight, and the dark squared bishop would never hit it, and he would have to give up a rook for the knight. But you don't have a knight. But if you did, this would be an awesome square for that knight. This one, not so awesome. You can get chased away. This one, super awesome. You can't get chased away. Why? Because this is a backward pawn. Backward pawn. So, yes, you opened up for your rook, but you also put your pawn that's on his semi-open file. It's a much more beautiful target than your pawn. Your pawn's such a beautiful target. All right, so let's see what happens. Okay. I would want him to start building on this. I'd probably protect this pawn so I can get my king up too, and I would get my rooks on this file as soon as I could, and I'd want to take the pawn. Actually, I just want to take the pawn. All right, so I mean, look at you.
I like this at all. This is the first one. This was -3.
Yeah, look at your pawns. It's like, I mean, at least here you're protecting something, and then you said let's do this. And if he just takes and you take, you have 1, 2, 3 isolated pawns, and 4 pawn islands total. And we don't want isolated pawns, and we don't pawn islands. So interesting here because he's anticipating getting to there. So now though he gave you a chance to lock this up. And he should have just taken. And even with your bishop taken,
didn't like the rook move either.
No, it's you just take, right? If you take first, you really have no choice. And now white's in pretty good shape. He could do this, but that would make this one backward. But the simplest thing is, let's hit this pawn. You got 2 isolated pawns. Good luck on protecting them both. Right? So you can start here. You can't push. And then you got to protect it. So let's say you protect it, and then he could say, okay, well, this pawn I got to protect first, and then what do you want to do? I mean, you could go after this pawn, but he's already got 2 protecting it. I mean, you're going to start running out of moves to make. He could drop the bishop back, or he can bring the king up to protect the bishop if he wants. Maybe not, because then eventually you're going to get these pushes in. But also, by the way, he doesn't have to do any of that. He could just attack the pawn twice now. And you literally have no way to protect it a second time. And if we go all the way back to here, you protect it, he can attack it immediately. You have no other way to protect it. You're going to lose this pawn. So yeah, he didn't need to look too deeply. He didn't need to analyze too deeply to say take, attack the pawn, can't protect it. Only way you can protect it is this way. I can get the second rook on it. I've stacked, right? We want our rooks stacked anyway. I've now got stacked rooks on a pawn that he can't protect. I'm winning. I don't have to think too hard on that. I'm winning. Anyway, so yeah, you got to, and so that locked it up. But then you open it up again. But that's okay, because right, if he takes, you're actually you get the semi-open file, but he doesn't want to take, which he shouldn't. And you say, okay, now it's totally locked up. And he says, yep. Again, this is the backward pawn. You want to double your rooks on this pawn, and he wants to double his rooks on this pawn. And as you can see, yours is on a white square, which you don't have a bishop to help. His is on a dark square, which he does have a bishop to help. And look at your bishop. You have no squares. You have absolutely no squares for your bishop. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So your bishop has to go back to even become alive. Okay, let's see what happens. See, moves like this. I don't know why he did that. He should have just attacked the pawn. So just attack the pawn. And again, he's not attacking the pawn. Now, you can get a second rook there, but he's not attacking the pawn. Finally attacks the pawn, and then he just gave you just gave away the pawn.
Yeah, this move. This was my -6 here.
Yeah.
A +6 for him.
This one? Oh yeah, +6 for him. Yeah, that's just bad. That's just bad. But you also protected. You try to protect with the rook. He doesn't have another. He doesn't have a light square bishop. So you should protect it with your king. And if you could have, you should have used this rook. And you should protect it with your king, because as you saw what happened, now he's threatening to push the pawn and have a discovery on you. And if you move the rook now, he just wins this one. But your bishop's got nothing to do. Bishop is totally dead, so this piece is gone. And your rook is about to get under attack, so you say, I'll give it away. He could have, and probably, and my gut says that you take with the pawn so that you get an open file. I mean, you get a passed pawn. I'm curious to see what the computer would say is the best here, because, look, he can't even come over here. Hey, he's back. He can't go here because he would just lose it. And he's under attack, so he has to move. And wherever he moves, right, the idea now is we're going to own this file. This is the open file. How does he fight for the open file? His bishop has no squares. So his bishop can go here, but I own the open file now. You can't even put this here. I'll just take it. I'll win 2 pieces. You can't go here. I'll take it. I'll win 2 pieces. And so how hard is it going to be for me to eventually get in here with the other rook? And then, I got to pass pawn. I just bring my king up. Oh, life is good. This should be an easy.
You've talked about stacking rooks.
Yep.
And we haven't really talked, obviously I understand what it means, but we haven't really discussed when to do this and how to execute this.
Gotcha.
When you stack rooks, I'm guessing you're going to trade one of them.
No, not necessarily. So our ideal situation is to have the king on the 8th rank and for us to have pigs on the 7th. So stack sideways. That's ideal. That's ideal. That's dream. I'm going to win this. I'm probably going to win the game. I'm going to probably win the game soon. Okay, so that's one. The other thing that you want to do is stack your rooks, and if you can have them be on a semi or an open file stacked.
So go back about 3 moves because he stacked 2 of them.
Yeah, they're stacked.
Right.
And that's why you're getting into a lot of trouble, besides the fact that this alignment again. But now he takes with the rook. He's got stacked rooks. Remember, I said he shouldn't have taken with his rook. He should have taken this way and created a passed pawn. Look at these pawns. They're locked in, and unfortunately that means your bishop has no scope. You could go here and bite on what we call granite, because it's the head of the pawn chain. So he can't even come here. He can't get here because your bishop's in the way. You have to move. Let's say you stack. But he's going to slide over and then stack on where there's a piece to attack. I'd say you get your king involved. And he stacks. Now what do? This rook still can't go here. This rook can't go here. This is the only legal square for your rook. This is the legal as in not giving it away. This is the only square for your bishop. He's threatening to win the bishop right now. This is not good. This is not good. I mean, let's say you go here to protect the bishop. Ah, man. That doesn't work, by the way, right? He just says check. You only have one legal move, and then you lose the bishop.
Well, that's what I meant by trading the rooks.
No, that's not trading. That's winning material. There's a difference.
Well, you're gonna win material, but you're gonna wind up losing a rook, trading a rook.
No, I don't even think of it that way. Let's do the scenario, right? This is just really bad moves, but let's do the scenario. This is not, hey Gridiron, this is not trading a piece right now. This is winning a bishop outright, period. That's all I care about. Now, can black take my rook? Yes. If black wants to trade rooks, we can end up trading rooks in this scenario. But it's not, it wasn't like had to be, right? I mean, he doesn't have to take. I can leave. He doesn't have to take, but if he does take, I don't win a rook, but I'm winning the game right now. Because now this pawn falls, and if you take, okay, so I still have that passed pawn we talked about. Now I have 2 passed pawns. This game is so easy to win for white. It'd be hard for white to mess up. But that was because he made really bad moves, right? But as I was saying, if he had taken with the pawn, you don't have very many good moves. This still says you can't go anywhere. You can't go here. Now you could go here to try to, right? So you could fight. All right. I still can't go here because he'd still just take me. Bishop is hanging, by the way.
Rather than what? Wouldn't he just take the bishop rather than stack the rooks there?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, just take with check.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. I was. Yeah, sorry.
You got caught up in trying to explain.
But anyway, so let's say we get our stack, and you don't lose the bishop now, but this is really bad for white. I mean black.
Right.
I get to come here to start with. I'm going to attack the bishop and your rook. Not good. Not good. And you're going to be totally defensive, and eventually I could just march my king up and hopefully win the game. I wouldn't have to calculate everything to know how to win that. But taking with the rook I don't like. Why? Because it's going to trade everything off, and he's still backward. He's not passed. He's backward. So you take. He takes with the rook again. He's backward. He could have taken and gave himself a passed pawn. So even here, if he had taken this way, think about it. That rook has to go somewhere. Your rook goes on the open file, and you're still looking better than your opponent. But he takes with the rook, and that allows. Okay, that's because now you can try to get your bishop into the game, right? He is going to attack this pawn though.
Well, I had to bring the rook back because I lose the bishop. I don't.
Yeah, that's true. Well, is there another way you don't lose? How about if you did this to keep the rook out of those 3 squares?
Okay.
Is that feasible to you?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that might have been better. Now, I still am worried about this alignment eventually. But, he'd have to go here first, then he could go here and discovery. And so, yeah, you're still in trouble. Right? Yeah, I mean, you can go down the exchange, but this rook is still going to eat up your white squared pawns because your bishop's dark squared. So you're still in trouble. Even with this move, he could push, and you can't get there. I mean, you could say, okay, well, I'll give up this pawn. But he might just push through and say, great, now I got to pass pawn again. And now you can take back with the bishop, not with the pawn. If he takes back with the pawn, your king can hold both of them. Because again, his dark square bishop can't support this. And now you actually might survive. I doubt it, but you might. But anyway, let's see what actually happened in the game. Take, you backed up, and then he does get this double attack. And again, you can't do this. Well, you could do this right away, by the way. Because he doesn't win your bishop, right? Right? And then what does he do? If he goes back to get the pawns, you can say, I'll take a draw. I'll happily take a draw.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that you could have done that. Let's see what happened. Oh, you did. You did. Look at that, Murph. I didn't know you did those moves. Beautiful. All right, so you have a chance now because he has one more pawn than you do. He's only up 1 pawn, same colored bishops, so you have a chance. You really do have a chance. All right, he's got the opposition.
Yeah, the computer didn't like any of the king moves, but that's another issue.
He didn't like your king moves?
Yeah.
I think he wanted you to activate the bishop faster.
Right.
Uh-huh. And maybe even stay over here, and no, that doesn't work. But anyway, did you have a chance to get closer than him? Let's see. Nope. I mean, I probably would have made the exact same moves up to this point. Now,
I'm happy to hear that.
Here's where I would have differed, though. I probably would have put my bishop here, because this is on light squares. He can't attack these. This one is the one he can attack.
Yeah, I missed that. That's where I got
I'd put it here, and that way I have some chances here.
Right, I missed that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that would have kept you from... But it's still check. But this pawn is just flat out hanging. You have no way to protect it. Right? Because if he moves here, which he should, you can't But if your bishop were here, imagine that. This check, his king couldn't go here. His king would have to go here to protect his bishop. I don't even know if taking the bishop is good, but you don't have to, because then you could just step up over here and go for these pawns. Yeah, I think you have a chance. Well, he didn't. He didn't even... oh, yeah, he doesn't need to. He doesn't want to go there because he doesn't want to block the bishop. My fault. Wow, so what do you do here? Try to get... Oh, you could have still went here.
I missed the pawn. That's where I...
Oh, yeah, but I mean, you still could have done this now. I don't think you're going to win. I think you're going to lose this game because he has 3 against 2, and he has a passed pawn.
Right.
So that's the part you got to realize, that he created a passed pawn by doing this. But yeah, the bishop over here would have been better, but this passed pawn is still, even everything else equal, you have a passed pawn too, though. So you would have possibly had a chance. Yeah, you got to take. And unfortunately, you can't get through. Yep. All right. And then checkmate the next move. Okay. Not bad. I think you had chances if the bishop got there. Hey, Caleb. All right. Hey, Metal Eagle. Did you give yourself your personal shout out? Metal Eagle and I will be on tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Maybe discussing chess, maybe talking about improvement. We will probably be playing hand to brain against viewers, but Metal Eagle and I will be on tomorrow. Yes, I can, Mini-Me. I can. For your question, I can answer your question, but yes, we could play. We can even play now if you wanted. All right, guys. So that was good, Murph. I think going over that game was very good. Hopefully you said there were some things that clicked for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to go over?
No. I've taken up a bunch of time. That's.
No, you take it up. That was fine. I mean, you're supposed to take up time. So under tools now, guys. Under tools, you all can see this. Chess Wizard pointed out to me that now they have this openings, and it just lists tons of openings. So Murph, you're playing the Caro Kann, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to search up here Caro, and I'm sure we'll get Caro Kann defense, main line. Caro Gambit. There's a Caro Gambit inside of the Ponziani opening. The Caro Kann defense U attack. Caro Kann defense Panov attack. So, like Flavio said, he doesn't know all the names. There's a whole ton of them, right? And the thing I like, brand new, I'm just looking at it for the first time. I will tell you guys the thing that I like right off the top is that it's showing you the layout. It's showing you the pawn structure, the piece location for the variation. I think this is very helpful. If you're going to do openings, which of course we do, right? We do, like everybody likes doing openings. Looking at openings, this is a good way to. It looks like a new tool inside of Lichess where you can check out an opening. So Murph, you could check it out, right? So there's the. Let's see, the main line is what you ended up playing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was also after that. It was the Alekhine Gambit. So I don't know if that's there. It is, Murph. Look at it.
Wow.
So this would show you. Now, let's see what it has, because I have no idea what it has, guys. This is all new to me. So we're learning together. This is a new Lichess functionality called openings. So no description of the opening yet. We're working on it. Okay. So somebody's going to have to do a description of it eventually. Hey, thank you, Thinker Teacher. We are having our in real life class. I'm going to give a shout out to our man, Thinker Teacher. And we're doing our real life class. We have Murph and Caleb in the house. And we are looking at the new functionality inside of Lichess called openings under
So it
tools.
gives you a couple of, below that, it gives you a couple of moves. There's the knight takes, and there's the queen takes the pawn version as well, that we talked about.
Yes, but I want to know what this is. This is popularity in percentages. So it's like, how popular is this opening? And look at it. It's gotten more popular at the end of the year. See, it was like really low popularity in August of 2019. But now a lot of people are starting to play it, and like the guy you played it. So this is a popularity metric here. I think that's interesting. You could train on this opening using puzzles that are come out of this opening, right?
Yep.
And then, like you said, here's your variations. So the one I told you that I thought you should do, and by the way, if you look at this bar on the left, this means that 47% of the time in the games that have been played, when black takes like you did, Murph, look at this, the move you made, black wins 47% of the time, white wins 48% of the time. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a wash, right? And then you had draws for the other, whatever, 1% or something. So this has equal results. Now, of course, that's probably taking everybody that plays it, no matter what ratings they are. When you look up openings, you can, on the Opening Explorer, you could do like I do and say, I only want stronger players or masters, or I don't want to see blitz, or I don't want to see bullet. This isn't giving me that option, so this would be all, right? All play. It would have to include all play. So you have the exact same ratio, Murph. The exact same ratio, just meaning that it's as solid as this one, half and half for black with queen takes. Here's an option you didn't play, and 62% of the time white wins with this option. Remember this one I was saying that you could do? Remember, if you didn't want to take the pawn, I said you could do the knight to d7. Can you see the little one?
Yep.
So I said knight to d7 because then if he takes, you take. Look at that, Murph. It has a better win percentage than the first two. Doesn't mean much. Just means that it's, again, definitely playable, and it works out well for black more times than it worked out well for white.
Interesting.
Yeah, so and it's nice to look at the statistics.
Yeah.
Oh, I can change it at top even in this. Okay. Speed, bullet to correspondence. You're right. Let's see if we can. Oh, thank you, Nobleron. You guys are awesome. So I was saying that I wouldn't want bullet or blitz, really. I would want rapid, classical, and correspondence. And I don't want 1,000. I don't even want 1,600. Let's start with your rating, Murph, around the 1,800s. So now we are going to exclude ultra bullet and blitz, and we're going to exclude, we're going to make it a little bit of stronger rating. And now we're going to look at the win percentages. Basically the same, but black has like 1 percentage point better with the queen takes than it did before. And this is not counting bullets and blitz anymore, and we're counting stronger ratings. Maybe not. Rapid, yeah, no, it worked. It worked. Okay. The knight takes e4, which is what you did, has 47, 46, but look at what the one I recommended, and remember, I have no clue about this opening. We were just talking about, right, logical moves based on opening principles. Your knight move wins 52% of the time at the slower time frame with a little bit stronger players. And look at this one, though. The bishop move, attacking the queen right off, loses, oh my gosh, white wins 75% of the time. And I have beginners that do this all the time, that they figure attacking the queen with the bishop is better than, because I'm attacking the queen. Can you see why this move would lose a lot, Murph?
Well, it's pretty easy to defend.
No, there's more than that. Let me bring it up real quick. Let's click on it. Let's see what happens. So you can see it better, right? Now you can see it larger. What can you see for white right away? I see something for white that jumps out at me why this should lose for black a lot. Excellent, Flavia. I will tell them that in 2 seconds. Thinker Teacher, it's under Tools, Openings. Tools, Openings. Yeah, you have a check. Don't you just take the knight with check? and whatever way he takes back, don't you just win a bishop?
There you go.
So he doubles his pawns. Now, Murph, remember I said you take towards the center? This would be a case when that knight takes that you would take away from the center. And the reason you would take away from the center is to free the bishop.
Open up the bishop.
But that's it. I mean, you know, you take away from the center. I take this bishop. You can take the pawn here. And you're threatening to be able to put your queen here and attack my, attack. Or the bishop could go here and attack here. But I don't think you're very... you can't even take. I'm sorry. You can't even take with the queen. Your queen will be here. Yeah, I could see why this would lose a lot. I am surprised that this has been played. I don't know how many times it's been played, to tell you the truth. It doesn't say. So knight takes f6 is by far the most played, and that wins 93% of the time. Some people missed that and played f3, and they still win 53. The knight move saying, I'm just going to develop my pieces because I don't see anything. I missed this tactic still. They win 57%. So here's the only one that white lost, and that's because he moved the knight and gave away his queen for nothing. So yeah, that's 1800 and above, Murph. Slow speed. Somebody, at least one game, it was probably only one game, just gave away the queen. Yeah. And like this one, they moved the queen. What is up with that? So black wins. Black won 100% if the queen goes to d2. Black won 100% if the bishop comes back, because then he drops the knight probably. I don't know. Can he drop it? No, he doesn't drop it right away, but anyway, he loses anyway. And here, of course, he loses the queen. But if white makes any good developing move, he wins more than he loses. But, of course, 93% of the time, he wins if he takes the knight with check. I'm scared to see what happens after that. So I'm scared to see like when he didn't win. There was like one loss and one draw, it looks like, in here. But this has happened a ton, Murph. A ton. But anyway, yeah. So, but yeah, so you can look through and say, okay, I want to try the queen takes. Let me see what kind of things I usually will run into. And we talked about this as being the most popular move. And it is. 64% of the time that move is played. And so then you could click on it again and see what black does. Black did win 43% of the games. Not a ton, but 43% of the games. Here, which you might have thought would be a decent move, the knight taking your knight, right? You might decide you would take. Black actually wins 55% of the time. 6% were draws, and white only wins 39 or 40%, let's say. Anyway, so yeah, this is a way for you to study the openings, and it was pointed out. Let's go back another screen, because it was pointed out by Flavio that you could say train with puzzles, right? And you could say right here, Murph, you could say I want to be black. I only want to see puzzles with black. So this position came out of the opening that we looked at, the Caro-Kann main line. Or, I'm sorry, it came out of the Alekhine Gambit. So these puzzles came out of Alekhine Gambit. Now, how they got here exactly, guess what? You can go back and look. So you're totally allowed to go back and look. So this is the move we talked about as a possibility for you in the future. Take, and we get the tempo we talked about. The bishop is poorly placed, and you can get all the way up to, and you go, okay, all this, you might say, yeah, I can make all these moves as black. These seem natural moves. And this move, there's a puzzle now for you to solve. I think that's pretty cool that you could look at this puzzle and it's like, oh, this has happened in a game. Right? These are made from games. Now the two players were 1684 and 1699, which is not very high in Lichess, right? But yeah, here's a puzzle for you. Now I don't know why the puzzle is rated 2438. That seems pretty high to me for this. But there you have it. There is a puzzle.
What do they mean by puzzle ratings?
Oh, so it's the puzzle itself is rated on how difficult it is. So, and I don't know exactly, like 2438 doesn't mean that you're a 2438 player if you solve it, but it's supposed to be that difficult.
Okay.
Yep.
The higher the number, the harder it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So this looks like, I mean, it almost looks obvious, like, can't I just trap the bishop? But then he takes your knight. I mean, he takes your bishop. If you take back his knight, then his bishop gets to move away. If you take his bishop, his knight is here, he can take back that pawn, and really all you got out of it is your king is exposed. So that's pretty interesting. If you go here, he takes here. If you take, he could take back. He could also take here if he wanted to, but why? He could also take here and win a pawn with check and make you move, but then he'd still have this pawn, and I think he would just take this one and leave you exposed, I'm guessing, but there must be something else, because that to me, this looks like, oh, I can trap a bishop, but he's got the counterplay. Now, the bishop has no home, but you could take your knight. If you like, so if I just say, well, I'll move my bishop so you can't take, and then next move I do this, well, then you could just take your knight. Or you could take your bishop right away. Oh, I'm sorry. I just said if you moved your bishop. Oh, man, my head is spinning. All right. So, but it makes you wonder, is there something better I have here? Because, you know, it's supposed to be a puzzle for black, and this is where you're at. And you're like, okay, how do I solve this one? Yes, and I love that you could go back. Flavio mentioned that he likes it because you could go back and see the previous moves. So you can see how you got here. I don't like puzzles when I don't know how I got there. So yeah, this to me is like, okay, well, how do you press forward from here? How do you solve this puzzle, right? And it's not easy. 2438 is supposed to be really difficult. So it could still be this move first, but then when he takes here, what do? Maybe you take here with check, right? Chances are he should just take. Then what do you have? Because, you know, the knight's still there and the bishop's still here and our pawn is here. Can we just take? Can we push? I don't know. No, can't push. We just take. We've sacked our bishop in that scenario. So I'm not sure what comes after sacking the bishop even. But you'd feel like you need to get something out of it. So I don't know. That doesn't seem right. I don't know. This is tough. So, but you could do it. Let's just view the solution because we're not doing the class on this puzzle. So that is the right move, but let's see what comes next. We said we still think that might be the right move, right? By the way, see my rating? Oh, no. It says my rating went down by 34 points, but I don't know if that means that 2438 was my rating. That might have been my rating, Murph, not the rating on the puzzle. So, but this is what I told you would happen, and I was like, well, what comes next? Okay, so he just takes with the pawn. Bishop, oh, he's still trapped. That's the part that's the part I didn't finish seeing in my mind.
Right.
Yeah, Murph. So the 2438 was my rating, which now is 2404, because I said show me the solution, so I just lost rating.
Puzzle rating. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, that was my puzzle rating, which now is I just lost 34 points. So you were talking also. Yeah, you were talking about people not liking losing rating points, right? They don't like losing them in puzzles either. You know, how well are you at a puzzle? But yes, so this is how you could do it. Like I said, you could train with puzzles. Yeah, my rating it was 2430.
I think it was Chess Wizard that showed us to us a few weeks back.
Yep.
In the puzzles area, they've got puzzles for specific openings.
Yes. Which this is doing. This is doing it.
And they'll even show you a little, like if you're viewing the games, it'll recommend puzzles for that specific, whatever you were reviewing.
Yep.
It'll tell you, you should study the Caracan, you should study whatever the thing is. So, cool.
Yep. Yeah, I don't care either, Flavio. I didn't even, as you could tell, I had no clue that was even my rating. Yeah, Nobleron said he lost 250 rating points on puzzles by clicking around the puzzle trainer. And I just lost 34 points because I was like, hey, let's look at the solution. And it says, oh, that means you failed it. So I failed the puzzle. So I should have tried it and then seen. But yeah, Flavia says, I don't care about any of these ratings because to me, these aren't real ratings. Murph, I totally understand the want to not have your ratings hurt. And why? Because that's like your only measure of progress. And it's like, right? It's like your one thing. I have a rating in tennis. I'd hate to lose ground in my tennis rating. I I have a rating in chess. I'd hate to lose. Most people don't want to play in tournaments without being prepared, not because they're scared they're going to lose games, not because they're scared that they're going to lose every game. The real only reason is because of their rating. And so if you told them, hey, you could play in this unrated section where it won't, it's casual, it won't count towards your rating, you'd have a lot of these people playing in tournaments that don't want to play in tournaments otherwise. I'm reluctant to go play in a tournament because I would be just giving away rating points because I haven't played, I'm not ready, I haven't practiced. And who wants to give away rating points that you've spent a little bit of your life getting? So, Murph, just let's solve this puzzle while we're at it. So I'm looking at loose pieces, I'm looking at counterplay. So I could go here, threatening the bishop. The bishop has no place to go, so he has to take. So forced moves make life easier. I then get the check, and you get that bishop the next move. You like? So he doesn't even take. He takes this pawn because he sees that he was going to lose it. So that gave me 5 whole points because remember, it depends on how high the puzzle is rated. And so the other puzzle that I did not solve was obviously not a very high rated puzzle. And I ended up losing a lot of points. But anyway, yeah, fun. Okay. Caleb, did you get anything from watching us review Murph's game there? I like to contemplate. Say again?
Not a lot.
Not a lot? Okay. And
Because like all it showed me was like the screen. I couldn't see anything, so I had to get. I couldn't see a lot.
Okay, I got you. So you can play Murph unrated games, casual games, like Murph says. You don't want to hurt your rating, and he doesn't want to hurt his and Murph, if you're not playing over the board, then this is your only measure of success is how you're doing on here. Sometimes I just care about wins and losses, and I don't worry about the rating. I think I do care more about wins and losses than I do rating. So, like, if I were to play you, Murph, and we played casual, and you were to beat me, that would bother me. I can't imagine that it would bother me less than if my rating, if I lost the rating, if it was rated. I mean, that might be sadder, but I just don't like losing, right? I don't want to lose. I want to do well. So I think that's logical. All right. Well, we're 16 minutes short of finishing class. So Caleb, do you have any questions you'd like me to answer about your games?
He said he played a couple of games, so maybe he's got something he's done that we'd look at.
I don't know. Do you want to look at one of your games, Caleb, or do you want to do something else? I tell you what, Caleb, let's try something else. Go to the go to Learn Study, and let's go to our, let's go to our class study, Thursday night class 2022. If you would go there, please. You should be, yes, you are invited. Murph, you're invited. Let's go there. All right, and let me throw in there, I'm going to open up another board. I'm going to throw a position in that I want you guys to play out. And it's just for your edification, young man. It's one of my favorite positions, and we do it all the time. But you can't do it too much in my mind. Okay, let's go with the FEN. And let's put in, hey, Les Femmes, thank you for the follow. All right, so we're going to call this one King versus Pawn. All right, and orientation will be white, and there you go. All right, if you guys can get there, that'd be great. Thanks, Les Femmes. We will do our best. Thank you so much for the follow, and this is your first time chatting with us. I've been to your stream a lot, rated you a couple of times, right? Yep, hang out with you, like watching your stream, like your cat. I only have one complaint, Les Femmes, one complaint, which I would tell you off stream. Hey, Vindictive. So who's playing white? All right, Caleb, go for it, baby. Show me you know your stuff. Murph, let's see if you do. There's people where? Oh, thank you for the shout out, Sudakus. I knew I forgot something. Nah. Thank you, Sudakus. Thank you for being the great mod, you and Flavio. You guys were talking about complaints before ending a stream? Oh no. Yeah, I only have one minor complaint. It's minor. I like Les Femmes' stream a lot. Oh, did he too? I missed a raid. Where did the raid? It didn't show. Oh, there it is. There it is. Let me give a shout out to the raiders. Thank you. I was so busy in my lesson I missed it. Thank you so much. Thank you for the raid. Thank you for pointing it out. Thank you, Kavish. Thank you for pointing it out because I missed it. I totally missed it. Yep. I just thought he came over with a different raid because I was like, where? But I should have known. I mean, he's always streaming. And that makes total sense. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I feel remiss. Thank you again for the raid. No, the starting position is won by white. This should be a win. So that should not have been a draw. So let's try again. Let's clear that. Delete from here. All right, Caleb, this time you do black. And Murph, you do white. So this starting position should be a win by white. And this is why I love giving it to beginners. I actually teach with just the king and the pawns first and then work our way to adding other pieces. Because we want you to learn to play with just the king first because there's so much to learn. But this should be a forced win by white. Well, thank you again, Lei Fang. I had just gotten rated by Thinker Teacher 24 minutes ago, but you did 3 minutes, and I somehow missed my and all that, the alert. I was busy working on this. See, I saw that one. Well, at least I heard it. I don't know if I saw it. I'm not usually looking at the screen that would tell me that it's what it is, so I'm too busy looking at the, it's just streaming. It's weird because you have the OBS on one place and you're looking at the others on another place. So let's see if so Murph got the queen, but now let's see if he can checkmate you quickly. We always like to do it as fast as possible, right? Not that it matters, right? As long as you don't stalemate the person. As long as you don't stalemate the person. Ah, Lei Feng has a Kit Kat. I have a cat too, as you can see on my catnip. So I have a chess cat, I call it. Her name is Pip. It's a she. But I call it a chess cat. And when I first started streaming, I was calling myself the chess cat. Not that it was my handle, but that was on my stream. My what do you call it? The screen, right? One of my elements was called the chess cat because I thought, yeah, that'll be cool. You know, like old cat, cool cat. Yeah, but no. Has a Kit Kat and two cats. What's a Kit Kat then different than a cat? Because I have two indoor cats, and we have at least one outdoor cat that my family takes care of, and then we have other cats that just come over and decide to eat, and you know, especially if they're locked out of their home or lost. But we have three cats that we consider, two indoor and one outdoor. My daughter names all of the stray cats that she finds. We don't take them all in; they just get to eat. But she names them all. They all have special names. So Murph, you're having a little trouble here. This is good for you. Cool. So are you the Kit Kat Mage 101? Are you the Kit Kat we're talking about? Yeah, as soon as you guys started talking, by the way, now they have things for Twitch, and it shows that you are shattered from Lei Feng's raid. Well, if the first time you chatted, I get a different symbol. It says first time raider chat. But like Vindictives, it said raider from Lei Feng right away. So I should have seen that too. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not too bright. Where are you gonna go, Caleb? You got one of two. You have one of two, or one of two choices. Yes, you have one of two choices. I was saying it right. Again, my brain is not working well today. Hey, hello, Mr. Silhouette. How are you? Welcome to the stream. Hope all is well with you and your world. Yeah, they're trying to find ways to stalemate, but finally Murph gets a situation that might work for him. I feel confident now he's got it. So Murph, that was a little harder than it should have been, I think, but you got it. You got it. All right, Caleb. Okay, Caleb, did you learn from how Murph got you? Murph found, if you paid attention to what Murph did, you can do it. So go ahead and try it one more time with white. If you don't get it, I will show you the secret. But I'm always hoping that players can figure out the secret when someone does it against them. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. You know, there's enough sad things going on in the world. I like it when I hear good things and people are having things are working out. So I'm glad to hear it. So Caleb, when you decide it's a draw or a win, if you think you can win, then you keep playing. If you think it's a forced draw, because you already missed it, then let me know and we can stop and I'll show you the secret. But not until you think it's a draw. Because maybe it's not and you'll win. So guys, Caleb is 9 and Murph is not. Yes, we have secret sauce. We have the magic position, we have the muggle position, and we have the secret sauce for this technique. Yeah, it's not. It could be. I mean, you can spend all day on it, but once it clicks in, you're good to go. So we have a draw, right? Because if you go anyplace else, you lose the pawn, so you have to go here, and that's stalemate. By the way, let me show you something that's critical for you to get in your head. Caleb, watch this. I'm going to throw away a move on purpose, okay? Okay, now it's white to move. If white to move and can push the pawn, like this situation, you did not say check. So the king cannot go here, the king cannot go here, the king has to go here, and you win. So if you could have pushed this pawn without saying check, you win. But that's why Murph, when we watch what Murph did, Murph said, nope, I'm always going to be, this is called opposition, direct opposition. Direct opposition, Caleb, is when you have an odd number of squares between the kings. Direct opposition is one square. So there's only one square, which is an odd number, right? 1, 3, 5, between the kings. So Murph said, nope, I'm not going to be here when you have to say check. So you say check, and now this is a forced draw. All right, so let's go back to the beginning. Where did you make a mistake? Right there. So let's go here first. There are, because there's 8 squares, there are right now an even number of squares between you. If you could go straight ahead, you would have taken the opposition away from Murph. You would have had the opposition because you would have created an odd number of squares, 5 of them, between the two of you. Right? But you can't go straight, so you went on an angle. Murph said, okay, he went here. Look how many squares there are. 4. Murph did not take the opposition. A tricky way to play this sometimes is to take the opposition even though you're not making headway towards the pawn. It should still lose, but sometimes it can be tricky. But anyway, Murph said, nope, I'm not taking the opposition, and neither did you. You could take the opposition and create an odd number of squares. And you might say, why do I want to take the opposition? When you take the opposition and you create a direct opposition with only one square, this king cannot move forward any longer. Do you see this, Caleb? Your white king keeps the king out. If it was white to move, white can't go forward. But black wants to get forward and get in front of this pawn, right? He wants to eat this pawn if he can. Well, now the king cannot go forward. So the king has to go to the side. We're not going to go this way because we don't want your king getting here. So we'll go here. And now Murph can say, I still have the opposition. I mean, you could say, I still have the opposition. But how do you make any headway? Right? You could go here and you could sidestep. Because with the opposition, your opponent has to give way. So let's say he goes to the side. You can go here because now I'm going to usher that pawn up. Watch this. This is indirect opposition, odd number of squares in between, indirect, but it doesn't work because I can go 2 squares and say check. You got to move down? I can move down. Opposition still. Right? You can't get there. Now, let's say he says, I'll go here. And if you push here, he says, ha! I get in front of the pawn again. You take the opposition. Now, Kit Kat, you asking? Here you go. This is the magic position. This is the magic position. Caleb, if your king is on the 6th rank, hello, little Caleb. You're not Caleb. You'd be mini me. That's Caleb. All right. Yeah, I know. Well, I don't have new jokes. I just keep reusing the same ones. All right. So, hey, thanks, Sudakus. You're like just not a mod. You're my agent. So, now you have an odd number of squares in between, Caleb, but it doesn't matter whose move it is. White wins. So, the magic position is if your king is in front of your pawn on the 6th rank, you win. You win. Now, the position you got into, let's jump down to here. Let's say right now, here we go. This is the Muggle position. This is the opposite of a magic position. The pawn is in front of the king. It doesn't matter whose move it is, black can draw. Right? If it's black's move, he just comes here and it's a draw. And if it's white's move, as you saw, you go here, you take the opposition, just what happened in your game, it's a draw. So this is the muggle position. We don't like this position, my friend. We do not like this position. We like this position. See the difference? One is the muggle position, and one is the winning position. Okay, so this is, no, sorry, let me go back. Yeah, go back. There. No, I want to go back to here. There we go. So this is the muggle position. Let me put a little note. That's the muggle position, and this is the magic position. So you want to get this position because you win no matter what. The red carpet treatment. What does that mean? Ah, the red carpet treatment. Yes. So you win either way. White to move or black to move. If it's white to move, well, let's do black to move first. Black moves to the side or to the other side. White says, I'm in. Wherever black goes, I'm in. It doesn't matter. You can't get my pawn, and I get a queen. All right? That was if it was black to move, he loses. Now let's do if it's white to move. All right? So we're gonna get rid of a move so that it's white to move. Okay. Same magic position, but it's white to move. And you might say, but isn't this a draw? No, it's not. Watch what happens. King moves over, king moves over. Pawn moves. Watch what happens. If you go this way, I win because you can't get back. So you have to go. And now I get to move here. Remember I told you that if you could do this without saying check, you win? Because now it's black's move. If it was white's move, it'd be a draw. But it's black's move. He can't go here. In fact, if we just click him, we see all the legal squares. So that's the only square he can go to. He goes there, and then the king ushers the pawn the rest of the way, and white wins. So way back at the beginning, the way that you do this is you don't move this pawn until you need to get the opposition. So as long as you can keep getting the opposition, let's say, boom, I have the opposition. I have the opposition. He's going to move. Still don't need to move the pawn. Still don't need to move the pawn. Okay? But if I don't have the opposition, like I make a mistake, and my opponent has the opposition, so let's go back. Let's say I move. Well, let's say I just move. All right. And let's say I move. I make a mistake. Let's say black goes here. I go here. And black goes here. Now, black has the opposition. I don't want to give way. I want the opposition. I want him to give way. So look, Caleb, I moved the pawn. It's his turn now. He has to give way. I can say, yep, we're coming down. Game time. So you don't move the magic. The key lesson is you don't move the pawn until you need to gain the opposition. If you never need to gain the opposition, you can wait as long as you like to push that pawn. You got it? All right, let's see if you can do it. I'm going to delete everything. So you gotta remember. Okay, let's see you do it. You got white. Oh, nice, Kit Kat. The red carpet. I call it the magic position. You call it the red carpet. I like it. I like it. We'll take it. We'll take it. So what is ARIW? Sudakus. I can't remember how to say your name now. What is the ARIW? I thought you were saying, the red carpet tree, but it's not. What is that? What is that? What is Very good. You get the opposition. Very good. Now be aggressive. Yeah, there you go. You're going to usher that pawn down. Now you can take the opposition again. You didn't have... No, you lost the opposition. You just gave away the opposition. You gave away the opposition.
That voice kind of freaks me out.
Yeah, you gave away the opposition because now if you move here, he has the opposition. Guess what? You're not going to get your king here with the pawn behind it. He does not have to let you get there with the king. So the pawn has to push, and if the pawn pushes, the king, look, we're getting into the what? The muggle position. So here, way back here, you did really well. This was fine. But what was that? You just take the opposition again. Remember? Now he's got to give way, and you can sidestep. If he wants to come up, let him come up. Your pawn keeps him out, and your king is keeping all these squares. He eventually has to go here. You could do it again, or you can now... Well, no, we don't want to do that. But we can't push here. We can push here because his king doesn't have these squares, so his only squares are here and here, and this is called what again? The magic position. And if he goes here, you can still go here because it's still the magic position. Oh, okay. So you were close. You were so close. So let's go back to where you made a mistake. And it would be right there. So let's go here. I'm going to delete everything after that. And it's white's move here, Caleb, so you continue. So why don't you use them, Kit Kat? Why don't you use the endgames? Ah, so it's an emote that I don't know what it is. Okay. I just don't know what the emote is. Because Sudoku's used the letters, but he used a lot of them. He used a lot of them. How are you? Pause to reflect. Welcome to the stream. So Kit Kat, why would you not use endgames? You never use them practically, which makes me think that means you've never gotten to the endgames. So either you're winning... No! What was that? Now you have to say check with the pawn. What happened? What are you supposed to do here? I need the magic position, my friend.
Oh, I pushed him.
Yeah, oh, you did? What? Mini Me is pushing your mouse? Don't let him touch your mouse. What are you doing? Yeah, Kit Kat. So that's, that's a sign, right? That's a sign. You want to get to be strong enough. What? You just wasting time now, Mini Me?
Yeah.
Why don't you go there so you can win the game? So now you can go back again. Remember, there is a threefold repetition rule. If you end up with the exact same position 3 times, it's a draw. So you gotta know what you're doing. See, now if you go back here, that'd be 2 times. That'd be 2 times you had that exact same position. One more time, it would be a draw. So where do you go from here, my friend?
I don't know.
Oh, the exclam W is my Nightbot command to tell you hi. So that is just my Nightbot command, so I don't have to type out hi and welcome to our community every time for each person. I could just do the W, and that does the message for me. So it's a message I pre-wrote that I would say every time, and I didn't want to have to figure it out and type it up every time. Yeah, so that's funny, Kit Kat, because when I teach endgames, and I know Thinker Teacher teaches endgames, when we teach endgames, I've had people tell me, why would I want to learn an endgame when I never get to it? Right? They only want to learn openings because they know they get to the opening. It's the beginning of the game. But they're like, why am I going to learn an endgame because I'll never get to the endgame? They say they lose. They never get to the endgame. So hold up one second. Hold up 1 second, guys. So if you keep taking the opposition, Caleb, take the opposition again. Remember, the king can't go forward if you take the opposition in this position. Yes. Watch what happens. Now, you could take the opposition, but we just don't want to keep doing this forever, right? So now you can move your queen, say, here. You can even move it here if you wanted to. I don't like it in front of your king, except on the sides. So you can take your pick there. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I like pause to reflect. I actually have a shirt that says I paused my game for this. So, Caleb, here, I like this kind of move better. So now it would be Murph's turn again. And now that you got the opposition, do you know how to push his king back? What can you do to push that king back this way? I want that king to have to go back. I want the king to eventually be on the edge of the board to win. Okay? We want him on the edge of the board. So, no. How can you push that king back right now? Does that force him to go back? Or he could go here, right? And if you go here, you could go here, right? So that doesn't force him back. I want you to make him move his king that way right now. Thank you, pause. And my background, the background matches. And I try to wear a different one every stream. So that's fine. And you could have taken the opposition again, but that's fine. I like it. So now you chase him. I'll show you how this works. Because you want him to make the opposition. Now, once he makes the opposition, how can you force him back again? Remember, your job is to force him back. Good job. You should get this one. This should be a win. So now here's the funny part. You go here, and you got to spend more time chasing him. If you had went here, you'd have less. Well, actually, you don't have to spend any time chasing him because you have a queen. This is going to end anyway. Go ahead. Now you should be able to checkmate him right now. One move right now. Oh, yes. I do like my pause my game for this shirt. I get you. Yes. All right. Much better, Caleb. So you think you got it? All right, Caleb. Try it against me, Caleb. You got white. Go for it.
Why did you have to restart it? Why did you have to restart it, man?
Very good. You remembered. And then you forgot.
You remembered. And then you forgot.
What's your brother's name, Caleb?
Don't check now. Don't check. I don't have a name to strangers.
You don't have a name?
I don't have a name to strangers.
Let's just call you Mini Me. All right. I cannot take the opposition, Caleb. Look. I cannot take the opposition. If I cannot take the opposition, I stay in front of the pawn. That's the rule, guys. If you cannot get the opposition, you stay in front of the pawn. And you're right. That was a great time to play that Kit Kat. I do like people cashing in there. And you already had enough points to cash it in already. That was awesome. I love the channel points. It's like you had money that's not money and that you could spend in the channel, in somebody's stream. I think that's fun.
What do you mean, Michael?
And you have 300 to spare. Nice. So we got back to a draw, huh, Caleb? All right, so you still need... Oh, that doesn't stop a draw. So you were close. But I did the trick I told you about. I took the opposition first from you. And after I took the opposition, you did right. You pushed the pawn. You did right here. But then I said, let me see if I can trick him. And I did. You checked me. What should you have done? Take the indirect opposition again. Now it's my move. I can't move towards the pawn. I would move away. Now, if you wanted to, you could push the pawn because you get the magic position. But you would also just get the opposition. Remember, the goal is the opposition. But the reason why this works is, let's say I went here. If this was back here somewhere, and I went here, and you went here, you would no longer have the opposition, and it would be a draw if it was back here. Anywhere back here. Anywhere back there. But because you're already this close, this doesn't work. Because you don't care if you have the opposition, because you have the magic position. Magic position, red carpet, you win. Right? So otherwise, if you didn't have that, then you would need to go here, which also wins. right? This forces a win easily. So you didn't have to play it for the magic position, but you could. But you don't need to. You could just come up here and then slide all our way in. And if I had gone here, you take the opposition with the magic position, easy win. Yes, the former, 9 years old. Yes. But Caleb was not the one who was talking. It's his younger brother that was talking without a name. So if you guys watched old movies like I did, you know, The Man Without a Name, Clint Eastwood, well... Huh?
His name is Lucas.
Lucas! Oh no, you told his name! Oh, you're in trouble, Caleb. He's coming for you now. All right, so hopefully that was useful for both of you. Was that good? All right. I know it's always good for Murph. Murph, you took longer to checkmate than I'd want, but that was okay. As long as you don't stalemate or give away your queen. And you did remember how to do that, Murph, so you had no problem with the getting